Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
World history is full of mysteries and riddles that, despite all the efforts of our most expert historians, treasure hunters, and great cryptographers, still remain unsolved. From the mysterious Easter Island to geographic anomalies in Peru, here are 10 mysteries that might never be solved. Number 10. Easter Island. You might be disappointed to find out that Easter Island has absolutely nothing to do with the Easter Bunny or his magical eggs. Hundreds of years ago, a small group of Polynesians came across an isolated piece of land which they then settled upon. This uninhabited island was beautiful and full of scenic hills and lush spreads of palm trees and healthy green grass. Upon settling down on this 63 square miles of island, this small group of people named the island Rapa Nui. The island is what we now know as Easter Island. The settlers chiseled away at the volcanic stone and built monolithic statues. These statues were humongous, with an average height of 13 feet, and each one weighed about 14 tons. That's almost the size of 3 elephants. After they were done, they dragged each of them to ceremonial places on the island, and as you can imagine, that was no easy feat. Moving the statues required a lot of work, because dragging 3 elephants isn't exactly a walk in the park. Several years and generations after the settlers had all passed away or migrated, the first explorers to stumble upon the island were Dutch explorers who found it almost barren. They couldn't figure out who had built these statues, when they built them, and why. Various experts came up with different dates and theories, but the fact remains that nobody really knows. Number 9. The Peru Rice Map. Late in 1929, Gustav Deismann, a German theologian, found a map that had been drawn and signed in 1513 by Turkish cartographer Hagi Ahmed Muddin Piri, also known as Piri Rice. In addition to being a cartographer, Piri Rice served in the Turkish Navy, for which he held the rank of admiral. The map appears to show Antarctica, almost 300 years before it was discovered. Not only does it show Antarctica, but the continent was drawn as a landmass as it would have appeared before it was covered with its ice cap over 6,000 years ago. Geologists studied the Piri Rice map and found several things that they couldn't explain. Not only was there the issue of Antarctica without its ice cap, but they noticed that the map was drawn using a methodology not used by European cartographers until the 16th century. The jury's still out on the question of whether the Piri Rice map shows Antarctica or not. Number 8. Jack the Ripper. This list wouldn't be complete without the mention of the most famous killer in London's history. In 1888, Jack the Ripper killed at least 5 women in London, mutilating their bodies. A number of letters, supposedly from the Ripper, were sent to police, taunting officers' efforts to find the Ripper. Whether any of them were actually written by the Ripper is a matter of debate among scholars. The name Jack the Ripper comes from these letters. Needless to say, the Ripper was never found, and over the years, dozens of people have been brought up as possible candidates. In his 2012 book, Jack the Ripper, The Hand of a Woman, John Morris suggests that a woman named Lizzie Williams was the Ripper, although other Ripper experts cast doubt on that. It appears unlikely that the true identity of the Ripper will ever be known for sure. Number 7. Cleopatra's Tomb. Ancient historians say that Cleopatra VII and her lover, Mark Antony, were buried together in a tomb after their deaths in 30 BC. The writer Plutarch in particular wrote that the tomb was located near a temple of the Egyptian goddess Isis and was a lofty and beautiful monument containing treasures made of gold, silver, emeralds, pearls, ebony, and ivory. However, the tomb and its contents remain lost to history. In 2012, Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former antiquities minister, conducted excavations at a site near Alexandria now called Taposiris Magna. This site contains a number of tombs dating back to the era when Cleopatra VII ruled Egypt. Many interesting archaeological discoveries were made. However, the sought-after tomb of Egypt's long-lost queen wasn't one of them. Archaeologists have noted that even if Cleopatra's tomb survived to this day, it might be heavily plundered and unidentifiable. Number 6. The Case of Amelia Earhart. In the 1930s, Amelia Earhart was one of the most famous women in the world. She was a best-selling author, feminist hero, a faculty member at Purdue University, and a friend of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Her flying prowess made her a role model for many women. Earhart was intent on making a trip circling the globe, covering more than 30,000 miles, but never was seen again after takeoff. After Earhart vanished, the United States government conducted its largest ever search for a lost aircraft, but turned up empty-handed. While she was officially declared dead 2 years later, that hasn't stopped speculations about Earhart's fate. Depending on which theory you believe, Earhart might have crashed and died right then, or died years later in captivity, or even lived into her late 70s as a New Jersey housewife. Unfortunately, we'll probably never know what really happened to her. Number 5. Long U Caves. Our ancestors have left us a lot of cool stuff without any explanation, like the famous pyramids or the underwater cities. The list also includes the Long U Caves, which can be found in the village of Xianbeikun deep in China's Xinjiang province. These caves were left undiscovered for millennia until one local man decided to test the validity of the local legend. After drilling for 17 days, the man and the world discovered expensive hand-dug caves under the water of the town's ponds. After the first discovery in 1992, a total of 36 grottos have been discovered, equating to about 30,000 square miles of hand-dug caverns. While these caverns represent one of the largest ancient excavation projects in history, their origin has absolutely no documentation leading to the Great Mystery. The caves are enormous in size, and it's hard to even comprehend how someone was able to come up with the design and structure of these caves. Number 4. ASMR. Let's deviate a bit from physical mysteries and talk about something that affects us personally. You might have seen several YouTube videos narrated in hushed tones, accompanied by a soft sound similar to the faint hum of a clipper makes on hair. This creates a sensation of a gentle scalp massage, and for others, it's simply amazing. 90% of the world's population experience this same feeling when exposed to autonomous sensory meridian response, or ASMR. Why doesn't this work for the remaining 10%? No one knows. This may not be the greatest mystery looking for answers, but it is a relatively new development birthed by technology. Studies show that the brain region that lights up on an MRI is different from the brains that experience ASMR and those that don't. The most straightforward explanation for this phenomenon is that ASMR activates the brain regions used during social bonding, meaning that only extroverts may feel these effects. Is that supposed to mean that only 10% of the world's population are introverts? I doubt that. This explanation doesn't really make sense. Number 3. Yonaguni Monument. Beneath the coastal waters of the Japanese island of Yonaguni lies a series of mysterious rock formations. Since its discovery nearly 35 years ago, the strangely symmetrical shapes and structures of the Yonaguni Monument have led to fierce debate over its true origins. Could the odd shapes of this structure really have been carved by a lost Japanese civilization thousands of years ago? Or is it just a stunning example of natural geology deep beneath the sea? Often called the Japanese Atlantis, geologists assume that this was a whole city that was sunk by a huge earthquake some 2,000 years ago. Nearby other formations are also found, suggesting it's a submerged ancient city. This theory contends that the structures are at least 5,000 years old and belong to a lost civilization, possibly the legendary Mu or Lemuria, but nothing's been confirmed. What do you think? Number 2. The Nazca Lines. Next up, we have a fascinating mystery that's confused every single person on Earth, from archaeologists to scientists. And no, it's not the Giza Pyramid. We're talking about the wonders of Peru. If you ever fly over the high desert of southern Peru in a plane, you'll witness the landscape change as lines take shape to form simple geometric designs like trapezoids, straight lines, rectangles, triangles, and even swirls. Some swirls and zigzags start to form more distinct shapes like a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey. These are the renowned Nazca Lines, which have been the subject of great mystery for over 80 years. How were they formed? What purpose could they have served? And were aliens involved? And no one knows the real answers. In total, there are over 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and 70 animal and plant designs, also called biomorphs. Some of the straight lines run up to 30 miles, while the biomorphs range from 50 to 1,200 feet in length. Just for context, that's as large as the Empire State Building. Number 1. The Tunguska Event. For our most mysterious event, to this day, scientists are still speculating as to what happened in June of 1908 in Siberia. More than 20,000 square kilometers of trees were straight out flattened by what was deemed an explosion. An estimated 80 million trees are said to have been felled by that explosion, which is likened to 1,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs. The ensuing brightness persisted for days and was observable during the night across many parts of Europe. And it's not just trees that were the victims. At least 3 people perished in the shockwave. Additionally, it momentarily lifted people off their feet and broke windows hundreds of kilometers away. The cause of the explosion is still unclear, though the most common explanation is that it was probably from an impact event. That is, the Earth might have been hit by an airburst from an asteroid. It's largely speculative though, since the center of the affected area had no crater. There was only a bog, presumably due to the hot air. That meant no solid material to analyze and hence ascertain what happened. Can you solve any of these mysteries? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like it and share it around with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. We'll see you in the next one.